Colleagues, motion C, and the proposer is the Vice President.
John Guidi, Delegate number 2, East Renfrewshire. Relating to the Headteacher Charter, this association reply on the consultation of the Education Bill in 2018 had a response by our Senior Managers Advisory Panel. The panel consists of experienced senior leaders in Scottish education. They found it difficult to answer in full many of the questions in the consultation because there is a lack of detail with some of the proposed changes. With regards to the Headteacher Charter, the advisory panel stated many of the proposed changes in the Headteacher Charter can be delivered through existing processes and systems, and that the GTCS standard for leadership and management already meets this need. The Senior Advisory Panel did ask in the consultation a question: has research been carried out examining the effectiveness of the standard? It is not only our association that has concerns. The Education Chiefs in Perth and Kinross Council said it could hamper efforts to recruit principals amid national shortages. The Perth and Kinross Council submission said some of our head teachers in small schools are concerned that further operational requirements that this charter will bring, leading to a significant impact on their ability to plan meaningful learning and teaching experiences for children in their care. Overall, there are combined concerns by local authorities and this association regarding to the introduction of the Headteacher Charter. It seems that at a time when we are looking to attract more candidates to head teacher positions, evidence gathered through discussions suggests that these proposals not only could be a barrier to recruitment, it could also lead to an unforeseen consequence in increased bureaucracy. The head teachers currently rely on a considerable support from local authorities such as HR, finance, property, legal and admin, etc. and etc. The Education Bill in 2018 may well have unintended consequences of diverting head teachers' priorities to spend an increasing amount of time and possibly expenditure on administrative posts for non-teaching functions and further weakening their role as leaders of learning. With regards to the Education Workforce Council, this association at its December council meeting in 2017 passed a motion to oppose the Deputy First Minister's proposal regarding the formation of an Education Workforce Council. We urged the government to abandon plans to create such a council. We believe that by removing the GTCS, it would be a retrograde step and would compromise the independence and integrity of the GTCS. This would be to the detriment of the teaching profession in Scotland. The thrust of empowering Scotland's schools in the area of General Teachers Council Scotland seems to be aimed at the dissolution of a world-class and independent body that registers and maintains teacher standards in Scottish schools. The GTCS is self-funded by teachers and requires full registration before someone can work in our schools. Considering it's one of the few areas in education that is still generally viewed as being world-class and a model of good practice due to its ensuring that the high standards are met and maintained, it is somewhat curious that it's now under attack. Worryingly, the consultation bill says, in page 27, we intend that an Education Workforce Council for Scotland should operate independently from Scottish ministers, except when it suits. Because in page 29, we intend to include the Education Bill a power for ministers to amend the list of practitioners required to register. The GTCS has many critics, but at least it's a democratic, fairly representative and open to all. It puts himself forwards to direct influence of our professional standards. The GTCS was set up in 1965 to counter fears about the number of unqualified teachers in schools. It now seems that the Scottish Government, rather than tackling salary and working conditions that are contributing to the major recruitment and retention issues, see upholding of professional standards as an obstacle to insertion of possibly cheap labour into our schools. Pupils, teachers and schools do not need further educational changes as specified in the consultation in the Education Bill of 2018. This association calls on the Deputy First Minister to bring back the basics, the 3 Rs. That is, retention, recruitment, restoration of a teaching profession. The basic foundations of an education system requires stability. And like any building, one must get the foundations right or the rest of the building will collapse. For the interest of the education system, delay bringing in the legislative changes at a time when we should focus on supporting the teacher in the classroom. Please support the motion.
Sorry, I'm back up. Janine McCulloch, Delegate 23, and I'm happy to second this motion. It was last year, we brought a motion G last year in Congress, and it was really about education policy and the fact that we've had 10 years of almost continuous change. And Congress actually approved to support that motion to say, stop, let us settle in, let us do our jobs, stop changing things. And this motion reflects exactly the same thing. We were talking about educational policy last year, and this year it's about structural change within education. But it's very similar. It's just constant change, constant pressure. People don't know where they are. They don't get to embed the previous things that we've been asked to change before we're changing again. And I'm also not in favour of bringing in something that I don't think they'll ever be able to enforce, a Headteacher's Charter. Because what will they do if they don't have enough head teachers with the charter? Will they leave schools without a head teacher? I don't think it's going to be enforceable, so I wouldn't be in favour of bringing that forward. So please support the motion.
Can I ask for any contributions, Paul?
Congress, Paul Cochrane. Imagine checking your own name. Number 60, and can I apologise for the standard of dress suddenly dropping because we had a very esteemed guest today. But I did notice that Mr Swinney had a designer jacket on and a pair of chinos that didn't match, so I think that's good. I'm in good company here. And there's no metaphor there or imagery. Just a very, very brief thing. Could you imagine, and this is no slight on cleaners and dental assistants, you know, the British Institute, or the BDA, turning around and say, let's have cleaners and dental assistants as part of our body. The Institute of Engineers getting the people who dig up the roads, no slight name and attend as well, to be part of the Institute of Engineers, or the British Medical Council, you know, asking nurses and cleaning assistants to. This is a nonsense. And again, I'm trying my best not to slight my collaborative workers who work in education and community. The GTCS should remain funded by teachers and driven by teachers, despite all its faults. That's one. That should just be knocked out the park straight away. Secondly, one of the impressive improvements in recent documentation from the Scottish Office of Education Scotland, maybe at some of my urgings over the years, they are starting to reference the evidence with which they are putting forward their motions and what they propose to do. But sad for them, 90% of them are their own documentation, which isn't a really good sign. But when you do follow some of the references to OECD, the one that they were really pushing for the power on increasing attainment for the Headteacher Charter and the head teacher's ability to control staffing even more, could they? When you follow the link, it praises 3 countries who all have a hire and fire culture of teachers. Is that what we're looking for? And I would say no, so I would support the motion as well. Thank you.
Colleagues, if there's no other contributions, can we move to the vote? All those in favour? Against? I think that's carried. Any abstention? Sorry. Unanimous. Colleagues,